Look at the clock. Now imagine this. You close your eyes, and the next time you open them, the day is gone. Not fast, not blurry. Gone. They talked to you. They moved you. Your body reacted. Hours happened. But for you, it never existed. That is anesthesia. And it should make you pause, because it proves something most people never realize. Your time is not the hours. Your time is what your brain records. Tonight we're going to explain the missing hours in plain language, and by the end you'll understand 3 unsettling truths. First, why anesthesia doesn't feel like sleep at all. Second, why time can vanish completely, even while the brain is still active. And third, what this reveals about consciousness, the part that makes you feel like you. Okay, here's the cleanest way to understand it. Your brain doesn't experience time directly. It experiences change, and then it builds time from the changes it manages to save. So to feel time, you need 2 things: attention and memory. Attention creates the feeling of now. Memory creates the feeling of then. When anesthesia disrupts attention and memory together, your inner timeline collapses. So later, you can't feel duration. You can't feel waiting. You can't feel passing, because there are no internal markers to measure it. That's why it feels like teleportation. Before and then after. No bridge. Now let's say the sentence that changes everything. Being alive is not the same as being conscious. Under anesthesia, your body can keep running, while the part that creates experience is offline. Your heart can beat. Your lungs can be supported. Reflexes can happen. Movements can happen. But the inner movie isn't playing. And this is the part people misunderstand. It's not that nothing happened, it's that nothing was experienced and nothing was saved. Now, what exactly is being turned off? Not one tiny spot, not one magical button. Consciousness is not located in one pin. It's a collaboration. Sound, touch, emotion, memory, body sense. All of it needs to be stitched into one scene for you to feel, I am here. Anesthesia works by disrupting that stitching, so the brain loses the ability to keep one unified world online. Here's a simple image. Imagine a choir. Each singer is a brain system. If everyone sings together, you get a song. If the timing breaks, you don't get a different song, you get noise. Anesthesia breaks timing and coordination, so the song of consciousness stops. Now, one of the most important truths: the brain can still be doing work without you having an experience of it. Because activity is not the same as awareness. Your brain can process a sound at a low level. Your body can respond. Your nervous system can adjust. But if the system that integrates it into me now is off, you still wake up with nothing. No movie, no timeline, no story. And this is why anesthesia can feel even stranger than sleep. Sleep still has texture. Even if you don't remember dreams, your brain is drifting. You shift position. You half wake. You roll. You have micro moments. Anesthesia is different. Often it's closer to a hard cut. Now let's make this personal. Have you ever driven somewhere and realized you barely remember the road? Not because you were unconscious, because your brain didn't store markers. Have you ever scrolled for 10 minutes and then 2 hours disappeared? Same principle. Fewer markers, less felt time. Anesthesia is the extreme version. Almost 0 markers. So time doesn't feel short, it feels absent. Now there's another experience many people have when waking up, and it's proof you can watch your mind rebuild itself. For a few seconds, you are awake, but you don't fully know where you are. Your brain loads in layers. First, body. Cold, Pain? Pressure? Then, room. Where am I? Who's that? Then, time. How long? What day? Then, identity. Oh, that's my life. That's me. That loading is why people sometimes repeat questions, or laugh at nothing, or feel emotional out of nowhere. It's not your personality changing, it's your narrative system rebooting. Before we go on, I want you to feel how extreme this is with one simple comparison. Imagine you go to the cinema, the movie starts, and then the screen goes black. Not for 1 second, for 2 hours. You don't see the black. You don't remember the black. You don't even feel that you missed something. You just come back, and the movie is suddenly near the end. That is what missing time really means. Not, I was asleep. Not, I was resting. I was not having an experience that could be remembered. Now there's a detail that makes anesthesia even weirder than people realize. If you ask someone who had surgery, how did it feel? Many will say, it felt instant. But if you ask them a different question, a more honest question, what did it feel like to lose the bridge? They'll often pause. Because the bridge is what your brain uses to feel safe. In normal life, even when time flies, you still have small checkpoints. You look at your phone, you shift in your chair, you hear a sound, you remember a thought. Checkpoints create continuity. Anesthesia deletes checkpoints. So when you wake up, your brain has to accept a fact it hates. A chunk of your personal timeline is simply missing, and that can feel existential, even if the surgery went perfectly. Now let's talk about the part people almost never notice, but it's one of the biggest brain hacks in medicine. Anesthesia is not just about being unconscious. It's also about protecting the brain from forming trauma memories. Because pain is one thing, but the memory of pain is another. In certain states, the body can have intense signals, but if memory saving is blocked, the mind doesn't store a scar. So when you wake, you don't have a fear loop attached to the event. That's not luck. That's design. Now let me explain something in a way you've probably never heard. Your consciousness is not one light bulb. It's a stack. A stack that includes body sense, orientation, attention, emotion, language, and the story of me. If you remove language, you can still be aware. If you remove story, you can still feel sensation. If you remove memory saving, you can still have moments, but they don't become a past. Anesthesia doesn't always knock out the whole stack equally. That's why some people wake up confused, but not scared. Their body is online, but their story engine is delayed. Now here's a short inside view sequence to make this feel concrete. Imagine the last memory before anesthesia. The room is bright. The air is cold. Someone adjusts something near your face. A voice says, "Okay." Deep breath. You breathe in. And then there is no drift, no falling asleep, no transition you can point to. Because to notice the transition, you'd need the recorder to stay on while it happens. But the recorder goes off first. So the last thing you experience is, almost always, something ordinary. A ceiling tile, a light, a sentence. And the next thing you experience is a different ceiling, different light, different sounds. And your brain tries to explain it. Did I fall asleep? But sleep doesn't explain the missing bridge. So you feel, for a second, like time betrayed you. Now, one more important thing, because people confuse this all the time. Anesthesia is not a deep dream state. Dreams have a world. Even when they're chaotic, they have scenes, they have movement, they have a kind of time. Anesthesia often has no world at all. That's why people say, it was like nothing. And that phrase is not poetic. It's accurate. Now, in the next section, we're going to talk about something that sounds impossible, but it's true. Sometimes, people can respond without later remembering. Not fully, not like a conversation, but in small ways. And that leads to the strangest sentence in this entire topic. The brain can be active while you are absent. We're going to explain what that means and why it matters for time, for memory, and for what we think consciousness even is. Let's continue. First question. Why do some people remember fragments while most people remember absolutely nothing? Because anesthesia has layers. One layer blocks pain, another layer blocks memory saving, another layer reduces awareness. And those layers don't always drop in perfect sync. So sometimes, a person can have a tiny internal moment, a voice, a pressure, a sensation, but it never becomes a memory. Because the save function was off. This is why some people report, "I heard someone say my name," or "I felt something for a second," but they can't place it in time. It's not a scene, it's a loose fragment. And here's the key. A fragment is not a timeline. A timeline needs markers. Now, I want to make this feel real with a tiny example. Imagine you're half awake and you hear your phone ring once, but before you can even move, you're asleep again. Later, you don't remember the ring, but your body reacted. Your nervous system reacted. That's a small version of what can happen. A signal can hit the system without being written into your life story. Now the second question. Why does time feel like it skipped, even if the brain was doing things? Because duration is not felt while it happens. Duration is reconstructed later. Your brain estimates how long by counting internal events it can replay. If it can replay almost nothing, it can't build how long. So 1 hour and 4 hours can both feel like a blink. That's not because time is fake. It's because the brain's time sense depends on memory. Now, here's the sentence that flips people's perspective. The brain can be active while you are absent. That sounds impossible until you separate two ideas: processing and experience. Your brain can detect tone. It can react to sound. It can regulate the body. It can respond to stress. It can coordinate reflexes. But if the integration system is down, none of it becomes my experience. So the brain can be doing work, and you still wake up with zero story. No timeline, no movie, no inner narrator. Now, let's hit a point that feels like a secret, because most people don't realize this. In daily life, your brain is doing anesthesia light all the time. Not fully, not medically, but in small pockets. Driving a familiar route and arriving without remembering the road. Showering and not remembering washing your hair. Scrolling and losing track of minutes. Those are moments where awareness is thin and memory markers are few. Time compresses. Anesthesia is the extreme version. Almost zero markers. So time doesn't compress. It disappears. Now, let's talk about the two horror stories people carry. Because if we don't address them, the mind keeps pulling you back into fear. Story 1. I'll be awake inside and feel everything. Story 2. I'll be trapped in darkness, waiting, aware. Both stories are built by an awake brain. They feel vivid because imagination is a kind of experience. But here's the gentle truth. If awareness is off, you don't experience darkness. Darkness is still an experience. You don't experience waiting. Waiting is an experience. You don't experience boredom. Boredom is an experience. When the recorder is off, there is no inner theater. So anesthesia is not like being trapped. It's like not being there. And the reason people wake up shaken is not because anesthesia felt scary. It's because it revealed the missing bridge. Now, the next weird thing people report, and I want you to notice how human this is: the loop. A person wakes up and asks, "Did it happen?" You answer, and 30 seconds later, they ask again. Not because they're pretending, not because they're childish, not because they're silly, because the save function isn't synced yet. Their awareness is back, but their short-term storage is still unstable. So the question enters, but it doesn't stick. Now here's a sentence you can keep forever. Even being awake has layers. And anesthesia separates the layers so cleanly, you can actually see them. Now here's the part that makes this video feel like a jubilee, because it turns anesthesia into a lesson about everyday life. If your sense of time is built from markers, you can change your everyday time. Time feels long when you create markers. Time disappears when you don't. Markers are not busy. Markers are distinct. A new route, a new conversation, a new place, a new learning moment, a small discomfort that forces attention. Even 5 minutes outside without your phone. When attention is real, your brain saves. When attention is absent, your brain compresses. This is why routine weeks vanish. This is why travel weeks feel huge. This is why scrolling deletes evenings. Your brain isn't counting minutes, it's counting meaning. Now, here's another wow truth, and it connects directly to why anesthesia feels like teleportation. Your brain doesn't store your day like a video. It stores it like highlights. It keeps the peaks, the turning points, the emotional spikes, the unusual moments. And it throws away most of the rest. That's why you can't replay yesterday hour by hour, but you still feel like yesterday was real, because the brain fills gaps with continuity. Anesthesia is what happens when there are no highlights, no peaks, no markers, no gaps to fill with story. So continuity fails, and you finally notice what is normally invisible. Continuity is produced. It is not automatic. Now, let's tie this back to the identity of gentle science, because this is the thread through our series. Sleep paralysis, jamais vu, the dying shutdown sequence. All of them are moments where your brain's reality engine changes state. Anesthesia is the cleanest proof, because it shows the extreme case. Reality engine off, then back on. And here's the final calm truth, the one I promised. A lot of fears about dying are built on the idea of being aware in darkness, waiting endlessly. Anesthesia shows why that specific fear doesn't fit how awareness works. Awareness is not a room you sit in. It's a running pattern. When the pattern stops, there is no inner room. That doesn't answer every mystery, but it removes a very common horror story. And when you remove the horror story, you get something better. Clarity. So if anesthesia ever shook you, now you know why. Not because it was painful, but because it revealed your mind can lose time without feeling time being lost. And once you understand that, you understand something profound. Consciousness is built. Time is built. Continuity is built. And your brain builds them so well, you forget they're even built. Until you wake up, and the hours are missing.